it's the most unnatural thing in the world. If you think about it. You're
Right.
given words to say that you didn't come up with, and
Right.
you have to make it sound like you said them.
Right.
My kind of strategy is always just say the words, just say them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so sometimes, of course I've had situations where a director's been like, it's not working, but then I just change it and do something different.
It's the simplest thing.
It really is.
Just change it.
Then I just change it and do what they ask.
Yeah.
I may disagree, that's fine.
Yeah.
They see more than I see. They're sitting in the dailies. They're watching the whole thing happen. I don't know better than the person who has put way more time into this than I have. I turn up, I say the words.
Right.
Actors, because we are being the character, think that we own it, but we don't at all. There are people behind the lens who do know better. That's why they're in that position.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Nell Tiger Free is an actor. She sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
Do you have like a typical way that you begin your preparation process when you actually land the role? Mm-hmm. Is there a first step that you take toward playing this new person?
No. I'm being so serious.
Yeah.
I don't do any preparation.
This is amazing.
Yeah, no, I don't do any preparation. It's funny that before we started chatting, now that you said that people say they don't have a process, and that I don't think I do. I don't like to prepare because I don't want to go in and have made a bunch of choices and then find out that, you know, the person I'm collaborating with has a very different image in their mind of what they want the character to be. Or like, I remember that story about Ryan Gosling was supposed to do The Lovely Bones, and he had this image of the character in his head and like gained loads of weight, and he turned up and Peter Jackson said, no, this isn't what I want. And then they ended up parting ways on the project, unless that's an old acting wives' tale, but I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. And so, you know, it's just something that always stayed with me, is like, you can't decide what you're going to do before you get there and you spend time with your director. You just can't do it. So I will read the script once, and that's it. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to.
This is amazing. Now, anyway, so people who are listening who maybe haven't seen your work, because you're young, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, 25 this year.
Okay, yeah. But what might be like, all right, well, obviously, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're amazing.
Thank you.
So this is why this is fascinating. I just want people to realize this. This is not, I'm not just interviewing somebody who's like happened to be an actor because they look good or something like that. Okay. So this is why this is fascinating. And especially with this role that you just did here, that you're promoting, the First Omen. I was just thinking on my way here, of all the people I love that are in your age range, I can't imagine anybody doing this, what you did.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I love a lot of actors that are your age, and there are amazing actors.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. So it was like almost like an accident that you got into acting, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And so, but you realize that it's fun, and obviously you have a talent, and people kept putting you in things. But I'm fascinated by this non-process. Like, so let's just take, you were talking about how the Servant was very formative for you.
Yes. Yeah.
And this was a TV show on Apple Plus. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's use that as an example of being able to settle into a character there. How were you able to, first of all, show what you can do enough to get the role, and then without a process, what are you actually doing to, because it's not you that you're presenting. It's not like you're just acting like yourself and you're being a character all the time. So what are you actually doing? You figuring it out on the day? Yeah.
So I booked Servant from 3 scenes. I auditioned with 3 pretty short scenes with M. Night, and they gave me a 6-year option contract.
Wow.
which, when you think about it, is pretty insane. I had only done, I did Too Old to Die Young, which was very limited to show, your range, because Nick Ruffin is a very stylistic director. So, that wasn't a very humanizing part at all. And then before that, I was Game of Thrones. I was a kid, little girl playing a princess.
Yeah.
And then before that was all kids stuff.
Yeah.
So they really did just give me this show off of the back of 3 scenes that were quite similar, all from the first episode. And they had to just almost trust that I had the capability to get from, where I was in season 1, episode 1, and not carry the show, but, be at the center of the show all the way until at that point, for 6 years is what it was looking like. And then, it changed to 4. So to answer your question, being given that responsibility at 19 was terrifying. And I went and I did the read through, and I didn't think you had to act in the read through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Read throughs I've been to before have been very relaxed and
Yeah.
very we're just getting a sense of the shape of the episode or
Yeah.
the show or whatever. So everybody was very relaxed in the read through and wasn't really giving it their all, and neither was I.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize was that the read-through was actually, it felt like to me still part of the audition process almost. Like I could have been axed from the read-through 100%. And my greatest fear was realized when Night took me aside after the read-through and was like, that's not her. What you just did in there wasn't right. And I cried, and I was absolutely heartbroken. I thought they were going to fire me. So I had to start day 1 in that mindset. And the first scenes of, sorry, this is a very roundabout way, a very roundhouses way of answering that question, but I needed to give that context because, just to kind of give you some context as to what mental state I was in when we did scene 1, take 1 of Servant.
Yes.
So I was absolutely terrified, thinking I wasn't going to be able to do it. And then they said action, and I knew I was going to be fine. And it was the weirdest thing. And it's like this adrenaline takes over me. And because I have to do it, I do. And I remember the first scenes being, there was no words. It was me coming into the house and seeing the house for the first time. And I hadn't done a lot of, I know it sounds ridiculous, but a lot of facial acting. It was like, it was, it was all very dialogue based, everything I had done before. And my characters hadn't been, that there weren't these layers to them. It was a pretty princess or a schoolgirl, and I wasn't the most important character in anything I had done before. And all of a sudden it was like, Night would come over to me and he was like, when you see this, you're seeing this for the first time, you're doing this. And there was all of these thoughts that I had never been given before, never been asked to channel before. And I promise you the best way I can describe it is I just did it. And I tried my hardest not to do an impression of a person and to just think the thoughts and do the thing. Yeah. And it was terrifying. And I'm terrified right up until the moment they say action. And then when they say action, I swear,
switches over.
I just do it.
Yeah.
It's like, and I don't think about it.
So let me get this straight. When he told you that's not the character, he didn't give you anything else until day 1? He didn't give you more clues or help you?
He basically just said that wasn't what he had seen in the audition room. And in my head, I didn't want to argue back. I didn't want to answer back.
Gotcha.
I didn't want to make it look like I was making excuses.
Yeah.
But, 24-year-old me maybe would have reacted differently. And he was absolutely right. From the back of the read-through, it didn't look like I was doing what I was doing in the audition room, because I wasn't. Because honestly, I was embarrassed. I was like, I don't want to be the only person in the read-through going full pelt and and really acting the scenes. I was very self-conscious at the time, very self-conscious. And so after that, I felt really frustrated because I wanted to say to him, but I wasn't acting, I wasn't trying. I wasn't trying. I didn't say that. Yeah. I just nodded and listened, and I kind of knew what I had done wrong. And
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you got the note and you just took it. That's
yeah.
it. You didn't have to. You didn't want to fight back because that would look like you're defending yourself.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to say a word, and I just had a tough experience on. Sorry.
And then once that happened, though, that scene.
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, we're moving on." Then you're like, "Okay."
Feeling.
Then it's like, "I think I got this." But did you know who this person was though that you were playing, or do you ever even think like that?
No.
This is amazing. This is amazing. So then then the next scene you don't even think about. You just have the words, you memorize them.
Yeah,
Do you think that there is some kind of channeling that's going on? Let's get woo-woo here right away.
Maybe.
Okay.
I learned the words walking from my room to set.
Hold. Wait, what?
Yeah.
It goes for every movie, even this movie?
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
All right.
I promise.
Oh my God.
I'm a freak. I have a really weird memory.
Again, I'm watching this movie thinking, she's amazing, right? And then to hear this, does this get you worried though? Like every scene, because it's almost like you're rolling dice every time.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm rolling the dice.
But is that thrilling?
Yeah.
So it's not worrying.
I mean, it's a risk, I guess. I've never practiced anything in my life.
Right.
I don't like to rehearse at all because I think.
So what happens when?
Save it.
Right. So what happens when the production needs to rehearse?
I won't. I'll do it. I'll always do it. I'll do the rehearsal. I just won't. I won't act it.
Yeah.
I just won't act it. And I guess sometimes that can be annoying. You have to have a lot of trust.
Right.
Your director has to trust you.
And what about your fellow actors who don't know what you're going to do?
That's life.
Love this. I love this.
But do you not think? Like, you never know what another person's going to do. So
yes,
may as well be the same thing. Some of the best moments in movies are the accidents, I think.
But I have a feeling you make other people better around you, don't you?
I just make them look better because I'm not doing as good a job as they are because they've actually practiced.
No, but what I mean is that you're in the moment for real.
Yeah.
You're trying to not have any, like a blank thing to come in with.
Yeah.
Just like I'm coming in with you, just meeting
Totally.
you like I just did, right? I have no idea. We walked up here, right?
Yeah.
Nothing. We don't know. That's the scene.
Mm-hmm. That is true, though. It really is. Because, I mean, that's just the way that I feel. I really don't like to rehearse at all because I just think, and I'm not trying to say that in like a pretentious way, like this needs to be real or this needs to be real. It's not real. We play pretending. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I really do try not to take myself seriously because otherwise I think I'll become an unpleasant person to be around.
Yes.
I think that the most irritating people on the planet are people that take themselves really, really seriously.
Yeah.
And, you know, if my fellow actor is in the scene with me and they're like, I really want to rehearse this, I'll be like, yeah, sure, cool. But if that's all you need, like, I'm not like, no, you're going to interrupt my process.
Yes. But
do you know what I mean?
But when you do run through that, are you worried that even if you give it half effort, are you still worried that something is going to be lost when you actually do it for real?
Yeah, I do. I do think about that. I won't give it.
You won't even give it half. You'll give it 5%.
Yeah, I will. And it's kind of an egotistical thing because I really enjoy surprising people.
Yeah.
It's a thing that I really like to do.
Yeah.
To, never let them know your next move kind of thing.
Right. But here's the thing that's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
When you think about the First Omen.
I've never talked about this. This is
amazing. It's amazing. But one of the things that immediately I was impressed by is I never believe somebody, especially a young person, is a nun. or wanting to be a nun, even in the past, you know what I mean? Even if it's a period piece. Yeah. You had this I don't know what it was, right? A piousness in those initial scenes, a reverence or something. I don't know what it was, or maybe it was just a real innocence, right? But if you're not preparing, if you're not looking into what nuns think about or doing anything like that, how did that get to me?
I'm gonna really annoy you again.
Yeah, I can't wait.
She just kind of happened. I think I
can't believe it.
Listen, like with this character, I understood, you know, me and Karsha talked. Me and Karsha, like, we talked about things.
Yeah.
And, you know, but I'm not one of those people who's going to want to sit and talk about the scene either, at all.
Wow.
But like, you know, I had I'm not just like, I'm going to go in completely blind. Like, I know who the character is. I know her history because it's on the page.
Yeah.
I'll never make up a backstory for anybody because I think that that's pretty cringe, to be honest. I just do. I just think it's cringe when someone's
Wait, what does that mean? I mean, I know what cringe means. What does that mean in this case?
I just think it's kind of... I don't have to explain it. Maybe I'm shitting on somebody here.
No, this is fascinating.
But I think it really cringes me out when somebody's like, you know, the way that I see it is this character grew up like, and gives them a backstory that's not on the page.
Yes, I've always thought that.
I just think you didn't write the thing.
Yeah, and then what if it's wrong? Like, what if it's wrong from what the writer thought?
Exactly.
I've often thought that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what you mean. Okay. So all right. So, do you even talk to the writer though to get more information?
No.
See, because that would be the opposite. Like if you're worried about doing something different.
But that would be if I wanted to implement some sort of fictitious backstory or create a backstory.
It's just on the page. Just what's on the page.
It's on the page. Obviously what happens to us in our past influences us totally.
Yeah.
But this is about the character as we see them now.
Yes.
You know, if there's something to be discovered, if it's in between the lines, cool. But that my director will tell me that. If it's like, that everything can be found on the day. I really think that.
No, you're really hitting on something. Like even if people are listening and they think that this is freaky.
This girl's a bitch.
no. In the very least, they think that you're just a natural, and it's okay to think that, or to think, because especially if they've seen your work and they're hearing this, they're like, what? And then they're just like, they want to put it in a box. Like, okay, that's an ultimate natural. That's fine for them to do that. But you're also saying things that everybody who's not a natural can take from. Because there really is the ultimate way to work, I think, is in that moment, empty.
Yeah.
And taking just what's on the page and delivering, but then being in the moment and getting something from the other person.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to just be like, all right, this is some kind of freak. Because I can understand that kind of take on it. But I want to also say that because I don't want you to hold back anything here, because we're learning from this.
Yeah.
But has there ever been a time when you bumped up against the wall in the way you work here, and you weren't delivering what needed to be delivered, and there was a problem?
There's absolutely been moments where, you know, I don't want to say disagreed. I actually don't tend to ever disagree with the people I'm working with. But like, there have been moments where I felt like my director wasn't happy with the performance. And it's not because I was making any choices.
Right.
It's just because sometimes, like, you're given it's the most unnatural thing in the world. If you think about it. You're given words to say that you didn't come up with, and you have to make it sound like you said them. Right. My kind of strategy is always just say the words, say them. You know, so sometimes, of course I've had situations where a director's been like, it's not working, but then I just change it and do something different.
It's the simplest thing.
It really is.
Just change it.
Then I just change it and do what they ask.
Yeah.
I may disagree, that's fine.
Yeah.
They see more than I see.
Yeah.
They're sitting in the dailies, they're watching the whole thing happen. I don't know better than the person who has put way more time into this than I have. I turn up, I say the words.
Right.
They like Karsha, who made The Omen. Yeah. She's been living in this thing for years. Right. The writers have gone through drafts and drafts and drafts. I think a lot of the time, actors, because we are being the character, think that we own it, but we don't at all. There are people behind the lens who do know better. That's why they're in that position. Right. You know, which is the opposite of how I was as a child. I was like, hated authority, hated being told what to do. And now my life is being told what to do. And it's fine. And I'm okay with it because
it's part of the work.
I'm not going to work with a director if I don't think that they're smarter than me about this project. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's all about trust. Trust is the biggest thing.
Yes.
And if it's wrong in the edit, they're not going to use it.
Right.
there's like, do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So just change it if they ask you to fucking change it.
Yes.
And don't fight on every little thing. Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Makes the day go so slow.
You're talking about other actors?
Yeah, I am. I love everybody I've ever worked with, my whole soul. Everybody is
Yeah.
different. Some people, it drives them nuts the way that I work because I'm a mute. I just do the thing. And it drives people nuts. They're like, why aren't you... It can drive other actors nuts. Like, why aren't you fucking saying anything? I'm like, because just do it.
Right.
It honestly is, listen, unless there's like someone's behaving badly or inappropriately or somebody's in danger. Like, yes, there have been times where I've said, no, I can't lie out in the snow for 18 takes. I will die. Like, obviously there's shit like that, but that's not acting, that's politics.
Right.
You know?
Do you go into the monitor and look at yourself ever? Do you do that?
Absolutely not.
Not one bit?
No.
Do you watch it after it's over?
No. Oh, do I watch
like the movie?
The completed thing? Yeah, I will.
Okay. And you don't have an issue like seeing that? Like that doesn't mess you up?
Once I'm very critical of myself just naturally.
Yeah.
But it's out of my hands at that point. So
Yeah.
I try not to give myself too hard of a time.
Yeah.
Honestly, in the earlier days, it was more just purely vanity based. My nose looks big there, my stomach looks fat there. And it was just, I was just purely like a narcissistic, do I look pretty? Do I look pretty? And then spending 4 years on a job, on a show where, because everything before then, apart from when I was a kid, but like my other characters, you know, trying to look attractive was part of the role. I played a model, a love interest and a princess. So it's like I had to look beautiful in my head, and I valued that so much, so it got in the way of me being critical of my performance and just my face. And then after doing Seven, and especially The Omen, it's like there's none of that left, because it doesn't matter, and I've grown up, I've gotten older. Amazing. So yeah, I'll watch the thing, but and now totally, I think I could have done better there. I can notice my own tics, I know my own face really well. So.
What about an American accent? Having to do that, like, where does that get implemented in? Do you just do it?
Yeah, I don't know. It just
happened. You didn't have somebody helping you.
No.
You are a freak. That's an amazing accent.
Thank you.
And so is there anything that does to help you? I feel like every question I have to ask feels weird now. I
promise this is all true as well. I'm not trying to make myself sound.
That's why it's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's why it's fascinating. But I'm just curious now. Are there things that you need that help in your process? Besides people just not being freaked out by it, you know what I mean? Or people just letting you do what you need to do.
I think it's kind of that. Just like I prefer not having to rehearse things. That's kind of my only thing that I'll say. But if you're a director that needs to rehearse, then that's fine. I can do that for you.
Yeah.
You know, I might just not be as good by the end of it, but I can do it for you. No worries. What do I need?
What about the environment on the set? Like, do you? Like what?
Oh, I don't give a shit. I don't care if people are in my eye line. I don't care. I don't care.
Love this.
It's just exercise and control a lot of the time. Is what that can be. It's what I think it is. You know, I don't know. I like to diagnose everybody.
Yeah.
But no, I don't care about that at all.
What about when it becomes more than 5 takes, and basically it starts to feel like those were rehearsals?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
What happens then?
The thing is that but then you're in it, then it's action, then it's camera, then it's...
it's counting.
It counts at that point. So it does change things, I just don't like to over-rehearse because I don't like things to get stale. But any actor, even who does like to rehearse, you get to take 6, it can start to feel stale. Unless you find something brand new. Yeah. And it's caught and filmed, that's what it counts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Unless somebody changes it up and does something. Sometimes I am partial to doing that. I'll just do something completely different. Yeah. And they'll go, what the fuck was that? Why did you do that? And I'll go, I don't know. I think we were both getting bored. So I just tried it. If you didn't like it, that's fine. I'll go back to the original. But at least we're all awake now. Do you know what I mean?
I love this. Yeah. I love this. So when we look at a scene like the birth scene, which feels like it was like 10 days.
Yeah, when I'm
Was
in the basement.
Yeah.
And the
How many
cesarean
days
me
was
up.
that?
It was like 10. No, that was maybe 6 or 7
Okay,
days.
but you have to do a sustained, what's the word? Agony,
Yeah.
terror. These things for normal people. Again, I don't know what you're gonna answer this with because you're an anomaly. For normal people, that being able to sustain that feels like it would be very hard.
Yeah.
But how was that for you to be able to sustain that emotional place?
Probably not as hard as actually being cut open and trapped. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, that's great if it sounds like you're running out of air or you're running out of steam. I'm sure she would be too. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That lends itself to it, being exhausted. Like, that's a good thing, you know?
Right.
And yeah, it was hard to sustain. Like, the breathing, I had to be like in panic attack breathing for multiple takes. Yeah, I got lightheaded. I started to look pale. That's great. That's how she would be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's all fine for me, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it would be hard. Like, Rupert had to ride a Peloton for 10 takes. That's harder because he had to look like he was enjoying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's harder when you
yeah.
have to act like it's the opposite emotion, even though what you're doing is exhausting. But in a scene like that, it's very lucky because it totally lends itself to it. But yeah, it was hard. It was really tiring.
Yeah.
But
But it would be tiring for her.
it would be tiring for her. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what about the screaming that you had to do? You know, like I'm talking about literally now.
Yeah.
This ravaging of your
Sure.
voice, like that kind of
Can you hear me? I still
stuff.
sound
Like is that really like its ramifications of that?
I think
oh my God.
it might be.
Wow. Wow. You get to use tiredness, like you're saying. You get to use that you're feeling pale. That's used. But if you have to be frightened 10 times in a row, like, you know, take 7 through 10 is not I don't know how you can pull that up and feel that again.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't help what your body is telling you,
Yeah.
you know? So by like take 1, the scream is going to be much more sustained and clearer. And by take 8, it's going to feel different.
Yeah.
It's going to feel jagged and broken, and I'm not going to be able to sustain it for as long. And it just means that it's my job to get it right as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, your body, sometimes you are like, okay, I can't do another one because there's no sound coming out.
Yeah.
So let's hope we have it. That's just the same. Like when I did the possession scene in the movie,
Yeah.
my body couldn't physically do that more than twice. And luckily we got it.
Yeah.
But my body couldn't do that more than twice and have it have the same effect as the first take. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Because it's like, I'm exhausted at that point. I can't have the same energy and the animalistic rage because I'm a human and my body's gonna get tired.
Yeah.
So you just have to try really hard to get it right the first time, which is why sometimes people wish I would rehearse.
yeah. And I'm sure that they had no idea what you were going to do there.
No.
Right?
No, none. No.
And you had a little bit of an idea, like she asked you to look at possession, right?
Yeah.
So you had like a reference.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
But was that annoying to even have a reference?
No, I'm really glad I had that reference, and you know, I'm so flattered when people say it's like that. It reminds them of the possession scene because that, you know, that's
on a high shelf.
Very high shelf, wasn't it? And so from the movie Possession, obviously.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a real, I really liked having that reference because otherwise it would have looked it would have been something totally different. You know, it's a hard thing to describe.
Yeah, right. Right.
So having that as kind of like, this is the rough idea of like the energy.
Yeah.
And like what type of physicality.
Right. You didn't mimic it. Like I wouldn't have.
I only watched it once.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that was good.
I didn't want to mimic it. Yeah. No. Otherwise, it's just, you know, that's stealing someone else's stuff.
Yeah.
But I only watched it once because and then
just to get the reference.
Just get the reference.
Yeah.
And then we just did it.
And she trusted. Well, you don't have to trust. I mean, at this point, of course, she's trusting you.
We trusted each other so much.
Well, this is the thing that is fascinating to hear, because when I hear you talking about her as a director, and it reminds me of, I don't know if you saw How to Have Sex.
I actually didn't. I did hear about it.
Yeah. So Mia McKenna Bruce talks about her director there in a very similar way. And it almost feels like you both maybe needed this kind of acceptance, total generosity of the set, of this leader on the set, attention to your work to be able to do these things, right? I mean, could you imagine being able to do this with somebody who at the helm was not creating this kind of set where you feel protected?
Yeah.
Does that matter, or does that just help a little bit?
I think it depends on the director and the personality of the director. But I mean, I don't know if I could, you know, if I could think about doing that scene and having it be what it was if Karsha wasn't there with me.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe I would have, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like to think that she was so instrumental in me feeling like I was comfortable enough to just do that. But you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because I think that you would be hard pushed to find an actor who isn't addicted to praise.
Yeah.
It becomes an addiction, like the validation, like that was a really good take. You did a really good job.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you value validation from somebody that you feel respects and loves you, or do you value it more from somebody that you think doesn't respect and love you? Do you value praise from an enemy or from a friend more? Mm-hmm. I would say it's kind of, if more, almost it's like teetering more as that as a human being, you can't help but want the praise from somebody who you feel like doesn't respect you.
Yeah.
You can't help that.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but that being said, there's more energy to do a good job for somebody that you respect.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line.
Yeah. So that's why you're saying you don't know. Like,
I don't know.
It might be interesting to see what that would be like, what that would do to you.
It's almost like a fuck you, like a rebellion. You don't think
Right.
I'm good. I'm going to be as good as I can possibly be.
Right.
They're both different methods, and they do
Right.
get results.
Right.
But I don't believe that the method of trying to break an actor down so you can get something out of them.
Yeah.
I don't think that has any place in the industry at all. I think if you're a good enough director, you don't need to do that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Like, genius does not have to be synonymous with madman and with cruelty.
Yes.
You do not need it. It's not
Right.
necessary. I think it's lazy and boring
Yeah, for
and
sure.
weak.
Yeah,
I'm really going in, but I do.
Yeah. But so I mean, you're going in and you're saying that, but you're also saying though
I'm trailing off a lot.
No. This is what we like here. But you're also saying though that sometimes though, and I'm not talking about cruelty. I'm just talking about sometimes you do want to please the person who is hard to please, or who doesn't
Absolutely.
doesn't like you all the time.
Absolutely.
So that's but playing that manipulative game is not necessarily.
It's not necessary at all.
It's unnecessary. Yeah.
It's going to get results, but you can get results without it. You can get the same results without it. If your actor is capable enough, and if you are capable enough as a director, you don't need that. That's a crutch.
Yeah.
And it's also a very egotistical thing to say, it's taking something away from your collaborator, your actor, by being like, well, I broke them down so I could get this performance out of them.
Yeah.
It's like, if you trust your actor is good enough, you don't need to get anything. You don't need to break somebody to get something. They should be capable of doing that.
Yes.
It's not necessary.
Right.
You know?
That's why they're a professional actor.
That's why they're an actor. That's why you hired them.
Right. When you finish something like this, and then you get praise, and other stuff is coming your way now, and auditions are coming.
Sure.
How do you approach auditions in the way you work? I'm trying to figure out if you are really precious about keeping
will
this.
Be the answer to that.
You don't even have to get to the end of the sentence.
I'm not precious.
I guess I mean, like, that's why it's fascinating, because let's say I had your way of doing it,
Yeah.
right? Which is non-process. I wouldn't want to see anything beforehand or to have, but it's not even an audition though. But that's what I mean. Like, I don't want to see that scene if I'm not doing it for real. I mean, I know I'm doing it for real to get the job, but now there's a possibility I'm going to do it less well now that I just did it full hog in the audition.
Sure.
That's what I mean.
I get what you're saying, but no, I'm not precious about it to that degree. It's like, I still have to sing for my supper and probably will for a long time. I need to show them that I can do the job, you know, but there'll be enough time and separation, and there'll be another actor standing in front of me. Also, when I'm auditioning, there's no part of me that thinks that I'm going to get the job, no matter what it is. Wow. It's just innately in me. I just audition and it goes out into the ether, and I think, cool, never think about it again. And then when it comes back, it's like it's a nice surprise. You know, I never walk out of a room and think, wow, I fucking killed that. Yeah. I did such a good job. Yeah. Because when I used to walk out of rooms and think that, it would never amount to anything. Yeah. So you start to convince yourself you've done a good job when you have no evidence to support that whatsoever.
Yeah. Do you give 100% in the audition?
Yeah, I got to fucking make a living.
I was just wondering, like, I could imagine the answer being, no, I don't have to.
You know what? Genuinely, there is a part of me that thinks if you didn't make me audition, you were more likely to give me the role. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm never going to be as good on a self-tape or reading over Zoom as I am going to be on the day doing the thing. Yeah. I'm never going to be as good. You know, it's just if you see the potential in me in that I can come and I can do this job for you, and I promise I'm going to do it well. I'm going to do the best I can. And so sometimes I wish that they would just let me do it. Yeah. Because I promise you I'm going to be so much better on the day than I am here. But it's just the process, and you've just got to do it, and I have to do the best I can.
Is there anything you can't do?
Yes. So many things that I can't do.
Okay. So when something comes your way that your team thinks you're right for, how often are you saying, you're wrong, I'm not?
They know me really well right now.
Okay.
They know I've been with my team for like 10 years. In the beginning, there was stuff that it just wasn't right for me. But now I think they know me so well. We know each other so well. It's very rare that they'll send me something that I'll be like, I'm not interested in that. But like, you know, when that does happen, they understand, and they're super chill about it. It's more, it will be less about character for me and more about like the script. Like if I'm just like, I just didn't vibe with it. Yeah. You know, sometimes that happens, that's cool. Not everything's for everybody. Yeah. You know, I'm not for everybody at all.
Do you ever read a script that you like though? Love.
Yeah.
And think, I'm not right for this though.
No.
So okay, that's what I thought. So when
I'll gaslight myself into thinking I can do it.
So when you do, I guess that what I'm trying to figure out is, can you ever imagine coming upon a character where this process of non-process is not going to work?
It might happen.
Where you need to do more.
Well, I think that would be a very specific scenario, and that would be something like if I were playing, like if I was doing a biopic, like if I was portraying someone who is a real person and there's footage of that person, and it's like, well, then I guess I'm going to have to do some fucking research, because you can't just wing that. You don't want to do like a bad impression of somebody. I guess in that scenario, I would have to do that. But I think for brand new characters that somebody made up, it's like nobody has any expectation of these characters yet. I guess maybe characters from a book, maybe. Yeah. But that being said, like I had never seen Game of Thrones, and I had never read Game of Thrones when I went and did it. Yeah. And you know, it was a small role, but But I don't know. I've yet to be presented with something that isn't a completely original thing. Yeah. You know, so maybe there would come a bump in the road, and that would be a new challenge for me. And that would be cool. I'd give it a go. You know?
Is there something that you want to play that you were hoping somebody offers you It could be a type or an actual role.
No, I don't think so. I'm chill. It's just if the script is cool and the character is cool. Like I get asked this all the time, like what my dream role would be, or my dream director to work with.
Yeah.
I don't have a dream director to work with at all.
That's amazing.
Just because I don't know any of them personally. So
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean? I can be fans of people's work for sure, but like, I know that sounds like really weird and like a strange answer, but like, I don't know.
We're used to it right now for the past 45 minutes in a good way. But
I'm worried this is going to sound like, I'm so quirky and different.
No.
But I promise this is just, I'm a weirdo.
We get it, and you're genuine about it. That's why it's fascinating. That's why we're learning. That's why, and when we see your work, it's not like you're just some new person that's like, I'm going to try it like this. I don't need to do anything. Let me just go. That's what's fascinating. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at you, I can't see the character in that movie. That's why I'm thinking like there's a channeling thing going on. Maybe. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Do you ever find that there's something else going on on another level with your work? Meaning on a mystical fucking level. You know what I mean?
I mean, that would be cool as shit. That would be really fucking cool, I
mean that you are possessed. I know we're talking about a movie. We're talking about a movie that's about this, and I don't mean that. I really don't. Just because the movie is a horror movie.
Sure.
I am not talking about that.
No, I know.
Other people have talked about this, that they feel kind of that a character inhabits them. Sure. Does that make sense to you?
I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think that, I mean,
You don't relate to that. That's not a thing that's happening. You don't feel like something's taking over.
Well, yes, I do. I do, but I don't think it's anything mystical. I think it's adrenaline.
Yeah.
I think it's the need to please. I think it's the need for validation. It's the need to get it right. It's the need to feel like I'm worth something. I think it's that. I think it's just being...
Using that energy. Knowing that that's a very valuable energy that's going through you.
Yeah, I think it's just when you really want to do a good job. I think I just really want to do a good job. So I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
Do whatever they want. I'll do whatever it is. Just, I honestly think that's what it is. I think I'm just... It's like the need to get it right for whoever needs me to get it right in that moment, and the need to do a good job and to not feel like I'm failing and not feel like I'm failing somebody who's trusted me. So it's like, okay, well, I have no choice. I have to do it.
Yeah.
I have to do this right. I have no choice. So I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah. When you're not working, do you feed your inner actor things?
No.
So it's starving.
She starves, yeah. She does. I watch like Vanderpump Rules and like reality TV and go to the pub with my friends, and I don't do, it's bad, maybe I should, but like acting is one of those things, in my opinion, you can't really work on your craft unless you're doing it. Like your craft, I hate that word. But like you can't really work on it unless you're doing it, and you're doing it in a situation that matters. I think power to you if you want to take classes or read books or about it. That's cool. That's being interested in your profession and what you do. That's fine. I don't know if it's going to help. It just doesn't for me. It's just for me in my brain.
Yeah.
But for other people, I'm sure it totally does.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've never read any book on acting?
No.
Never. People have told you, you got to read this. This is amazing.
Oh yeah.
And then you just
no, I don't do that. It cringes me out too much. I don't know.
That's cringe too.
I just think it's kind of cringe. I don't know what it is. I think it's just, I have like this mental block of like, I remember I was talking to my mom and like, she was, but I'm like this with everything, just to clarify. This is just who I am, you know. I was talking to my mum, and we had this strike going on, so I had fucking nothing to do. I guess the only thing that I would say that feeds me creatively, like in that sense, is I'll write. I write all the time. You know, not to any volition at all, but I just write, and that's not to improve my craft. It's just so I don't turn into a psychopath. But she was like, you know, I spent the strike just milling around and just, you know, jobless. And my mum was like, why don't you, you know, go and find some new plays or look at an acting lecture or do this and this and that. And I was like, why?
I love it.
Why? I don't know. There are things you can practice and get better at. You know?
But not that.
I don't think so. I think you're either like...
I think you have some kind of point there.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, you can get better with experience by being there and doing the thing and being around it and stuff. Totally.
Yeah, so you feel like you're getting better.
I don't know if I'm getting better.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Well, listen, I'd like to think I'm better than when I was 12. I've gotten rid of some bad habits. And some bad tics, for sure. But I think I've been really lucky that, like, my career, it's just... every job that's followed one another has just been more and more challenging. I have a theory about this. I'm gonna tell you because I don't know. So, like, for example, someone who, let's say, just like books one really big thing right off the bat and hasn't had like some sort of crescendo in their career. I've been doing this since I was 11 years old, and it feels like everything I've done has been like a small step and another challenge. You know, it's like carrying something up the hill every day and expecting to get stronger. Do you know what I mean? That like limerick or what fucking ever, I don't know. Anyway, so I have this theory that like you see someone who's like bursts onto the scene overnight. They get cast, their first thing they ever get cast in is like a giant Hollywood thing and they're just stratospheric and they start getting offered shit hand over fist. And what I have noticed happens quite a lot is that they're not as good in the next thing as they were in the first thing. Because a lot of that is happening because they were perfect for that part, they were the perfect person for that part, but now they're being handed material that they're not equipped to deal with yet. So like, does that make sense at all? I can think of a few examples, but I don't want to name and shame at all. But like, you know, you see someone become famous overnight after one role. And then they're handed loads of really, really sophisticated, really tough material, and they aren't quite ready for it yet. That's not to say they won't be one day. They totally will. It's just, that's why I think it's really valuable.
They didn't have that step
the
up.
Steps. You need that. You can't go from like learning Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to playing fucking Chopin the next day. You have to. That's something that you have to learn, and that's what I mean when I say practicing and getting better. I mean it's just you have to. Making a feature film is a weird experience. Making a movie is a very unique, weird experience. You get dropped in and you do it, amazing, but you're not going to know everything you need to know about it from doing one. You have to do a bunch.
Of course. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about your career and what you're going to do. Like especially after this. I mean, I was excited before because you're amazing, but now I'm just like, she's amazing. We all know this. Now you need to create the environment for her to work in. Don't have her rehearse. Don't,
I'll rehearse if they need me to rehearse. I just prefer not to.
I'm just saying, let's not talk about it. Don't talk about it.
I don't like talking about it. That's one thing I don't really
talk about it.
If
you got a problem, talk about it. After it's a problem. Let her do it. Like, this is actually
Let's just
something,
do the thing, and if there's something wrong, we'll fix it.
That actually should be what everybody does.
That is really my thought.
Let them do it. Let them, ideally, let that creativity come out of them.
Exactly.
And then if it's a problem, then you talk.
If it's a problem, fix it. Why
are we always leaning on wanting some validation of all this stuff? Am I on the right track? Blah, 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 blah. All this stuff is some form or another of hampering your creativity. You're an artist. You have a way of doing the art that is affecting. And I want people to let you do it. Because I want it from you.
Thank you.
That's what we need.
Thank you.
Nell Tiger Free. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. I hope you don't think I'm a lunatic now.
You might be a lunatic, but we need it.
Thank you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.